going to sit back as a fan and enjoy it.
Oh, thank you so much, Linda, and welcome everybody. So Linda's going to keep an eye on the chat so that if you have any questions or comments at any point along the way, in our very brief time together, I want you to know that that you can write in there and respond, and she's going to keep an eye on it. So I love this term, this concept of an amuse-bouche. First of all, I think I like saying the word, but also it's just a little bit of a glimpse into what the chef is capable of doing. And I feel today with like 45 minutes, you're going to get like a little taste of what mindfulness is. And the thing is, if you pay attention, even just now in this brief time we have together, your life can totally be changed forever like that. Like that, because there has never been an October 30th, 2020 before, and there never will be again. So we're going to be talking about that today. And everybody always wants to know the WIFM. What's in it for me? Right? So I feel like I set the bar very high when I speak, so I want to address the pandemic fatigue that I think a lot of us are feeling. The fact that a lot of people feel they don't really have any time nowadays for strategic thinking. And also, if you have challenges, maybe occasionally waking up in the middle of the night, maybe some people have that experience. Yes, I'm going to see if I can address all of this. So, in case you were curious, the difference between me and an app is that I am live, like the old commercial used to say. I am not Memorex. So that if you have questions, a friend of mine says that I don't work for the slides work for me. So if there is a great question in there, Linda knows that at any point she can interrupt and let me know if a question appears in the chat. Believe me, I'll stop the presentation and have a conversation with you, since I am here really to be able to share my passion with you, but I want to be able to answer your questions if you have any. So frequently, people will say to me, I tried that mindfulness, but, I really can't do it. And here's what they say: because I'm the type of person that has a lot of thoughts in their head. And I always think to myself, I call those people humans, right? Those are human people. Because if you don't have a lot of thoughts in your head and you're thinking one thing to another and another, that is the whole practice of mindfulness, is noticing that. It is noticing our thoughts and realizing that they're just thoughts. And then we observe them. We, however, are not our thoughts, or we would all be rock stars, right? So we are not our thoughts, but we observe them, okay? So here's the thing, starting right now, right? Because, mindfulness is not like wanting to get in shape 6 months from now and you have to start maybe lifting weights or running outside. It's not like that. Mindfulness has to do with the present moment and right now. So that right now, I want you to begin noticing. I'm really going to invite you to do this. How many times that you feel pulled away from even this presentation? Okay. Noticing if maybe you're like noticing your mood and thinking, oh my goodness, I'm already bored. She's only been talking for 4 minutes and I'm already bored. Right? Noticing your mood right now, noticing that incredible urge we have to constantly check these things, these smartphones, right? Hopefully you will not do it, but noticing the urge. Maybe you feel like you're in Groundhog's Day. Maybe you're just constantly feeling like today is like, here it is again, and you're still in the same place and maybe wanting things to change. And we're going to talk a little bit about today. I was going to say maybe you might be thinking about something going on in the news, but there really hasn't been anything going on in the news for the last several months. So I can't think why you might be distracted with that. So here's the thing. Multitasking does not work. You might think it can work, but it does not work. Even if you think, well, I can fold laundry and watch TV, you actually can't, because at some point you're going to look down and you're going to miss what's on the television. Or maybe you want to go for a run or a nice walk and you're listening to a podcast. At some point, if it's a good podcast, right, you're going to get lost in that podcast and you're not even going to notice the things that are going on within your environment. So this research was done over a decade ago at Stanford, where they said that actually by doing less, you might accomplish more. Okay. So even right now in this presentation, if you're feeling that urge to multitask, seeing if you can let go of that. Okay. So as a person who teaches non-judgment, I am very, very aware of how frequently I judge. So that when I go to Whole Foods and I'm just trying to get like healthy mayo and I see that it says mindful mayo, I think to myself, really? Mindful mayo? Mayo is not alive, okay? It can't be mindful. And I get very concerned about jargon because this is serious. I mean, the benefits of mindfulness have been seen a great deal now over the last several decades. There's over 10,000 scientific papers now looking at the positive impact of something as simple as paying attention moment by moment, right? And it's a practice of non-judgment, right? So don't even judge yourself if you notice how much you judge. Okay, just being aware that we do it and we do it a lot. So it's paying attention moment by moment with non-judgment, right? And it is a practice of compassion, especially for ourselves when we notice how much that we are judging. So what it is not, did you notice I didn't light any candles? And we're not going to be doing any chanting, nothing about religion. If you have never ever heard about mindfulness before and you wondered what this was, a lot of people think that, we're going to be lighting incense or I'm going to be ringing bells. A lot of people are looking forward to me ringing bells. I'm like, no bells. Because I don't know about you, but we don't go through life with bells. And we don't practice mindfulness on the top of beautiful mountains. We practice it in the middle of very busy worlds, right? A very busy world, in busy households, in busy homes, in busy workplaces. That's where we practice mindfulness. So it has nothing to do at all with changing who you are. Okay. This, like I said, is a practice of compassion. So it means really accepting who we are, understanding who we are. It's really very much about learning about ourselves. So I was at Johnson & Johnson for almost 15 years, and I was teaching mindfulness on the side. It was never part of my job description. And one of the vice presidents, and we're going back at least maybe 10, 12 years ago, one of the vice presidents, I remember we had this meeting and he had everybody together and it was like 75 people in the room. And he had a military background. And I will never forget that he said, we are entering this valley of doom and several of our products are going off of patent. And I remember thinking, what a absolutely terrible way to communicate to people. I mean, really, we're entering the valley of doom. I just thought that was like over the top. Because here's the thing. These are serious times that we are living in right now, but these are not hopeless times. We are resilient right now. It's not like we're going to be resilient 6 months from now. The fact that we have experienced so much in the last 7, 8 months, I mean, globally, right? Having the whole world go through a global pandemic, not something any of us was expecting in January of 2020 when we were thinking of New Year's resolutions, right? Like maybe we wanted to lose a little bit weight or exercise more. So we are already resilient. We have already been through so much. And, there was this article that was written in the Harvard Business Review. And a few months ago, I want to share it with you because it said, if you feel like you're regressing, you're not alone. So here's the thing. And from the mindfulness perspective, it is very helpful to know where your mind is at. And in the beginning of this pandemic, everybody was very much focused on this, this emergency stage We're all going to buckle down. We're all going to get through it together. Teams began working very closely together as to what we can do. And, after we got through that period, we then went into this next phase, which they called this regression phase, where all of a sudden, and maybe you've noticed it a little bit with your teams, where people started fighting a little bit about the small stuff. Some people forgot to eat or drink. Some people started eating and drinking a little bit more. Okay. So what happens is, and I don't even know whether you have had this experience. I know I get it frequently because it's either a colleague or a family member will say to me, "Is this over yet? Are we done? Is this over?" You know, and it's just this whole concept of resilience, right? If we can just keep going through this. And in this article, it talked about the way to get to the recovery phase was to realize it's a new day one, to create a new day one. And I thought to myself in reading this article, why does this sound so familiar? And then I was like, oh, I know why. Because every single time I teach, I put the sign up that says day one. Because Jeff Bezos, on his world headquarters campus out in Seattle, actually named a building day one. Okay, because he wants his employees to realize every time they come to work, it's a new day. It's never been this day before. It's never been this moment before. And if you had a crazy, horrific day yesterday, it's a new day. And even if you had a spectacularly wonderful day yesterday, it's a new day right now. Okay. So I thought that was very interesting in that he actually named the building day one. And, it goes on, and in this article, it talks about, it's very important to be honest with your state of mind, okay, in order to move forward. So, once again, the Harvard Business Review had this article, and in teaching a lot since March, I was using this article a lot in the beginning, and I'm bringing it back because we're now going into this next period that's going to be possibly a little bit challenging. But here's the thing, we are not entering a valley of doom because we know historically, yes, it might be a little challenging. And then spring will come and we will get through the next few months. We might have to do a few things differently. But in this article, it talks about that the feelings that people were going through was actually grief. And that to get through the grieving process, in order to get to acceptance, you needed to focus on what it was that you still had control over. And what I find so amazing is we're going through this global pandemic, right? And yet we are still working, most of us working really hard, right? Whether we're working at a job or trying to find a new job or trying to create something new, or maybe we're not working and just trying to support our families and with our children and getting them through school. So whatever it is, we're doing all of that at the same time of going through a global pandemic and still checking out, what percentage when we pull off the little circular we have off on the Kohl's flyer. Did I get 20% off? Did I get 30% off? Like that's still important as well. And we're still going to Target. We're still doing some of these very routine things, right? At the same time of going through a global pandemic. So with mindfulness, it is all about pausing and noticing this story, this narrative that is constantly running through our minds, right? And just like that person sitting there looking at that spreadsheet, yeah, sometimes they're paying attention to the spreadsheet, and other times they're thinking about, boy, I wish I was on vacation right now, or I can't believe there are dirty dishes in the sink and they didn't put them in the dishwasher. Or maybe you're concerned about someone who isn't well, or maybe you're thinking of concern about someone who might not be well, right? Or maybe you're thinking about a million different things. But just like there's a lot of things going on right now in your mind, every single person that you are speaking with, right? They are also having that thought bubble filled with all of those things as well. So when I talk about this concept of non-judgment and compassion, it's noticing that the next time you have a meeting or a conversation with somebody, you know, we really don't know what's going on in their lives. We really don't know everything. And just really seeing if you can give them the benefit of the doubt. If they say they're going to email you something and they haven't, or they say they're going to get back to you at a certain time and they don't, right? Because it's such an unbelievably challenging time. So if you're like me, in any way, I am addicted to Pixar movies. I absolutely love Pixar movies because they are all based on mindfulness. It's just like the Star Wars movies, actually. So I watched The Incredibles for the very first time a few weeks ago, and I loved this character. So when she said, "I never look back, darling," it distracts from the now, right? And I thought, oh, so beautifully put, because I'm going to invite you, starting right now, okay, to notice how frequently or infrequently you are in the present moment. Because where we are frequently is living in a past, memory, or worrying about the future. So if you are the type of person that is thinking a lot about the past, that's sort of like driving your car and looking through the rearview mirror. Okay. So with compassion, noticing if you are thinking a lot about the past, because no matter how hard we try, right, we can never change the past. And okay, the moment that you realize that you're thinking about the past, you're instantaneously back in the present moment. Instantaneously. Okay. So just noticing that. Now, maybe you are leaning a little bit toward the future, so that when you pay attention to the thoughts that are going through your thought bubble in your mind, you're thinking about, oh, the that never ending to-do list that doesn't end, right? There's always something that has to get done. Or maybe you're worrying about something that might happen or might not happen in the future. It's kind of like driving your car sometimes with your foot on the brake. And I think of it most about this movie. This is such a beloved movie, It's a Wonderful Life. And if you think about it, at some point, because hundreds of millions of people have seen this movie and they see it again and again and again, and I'm sure they're going to start playing it any day now, right? George Bailey, at some point early in the movie, says, what was the point of even being alive? And what happens is they show him, right? The angel shows him, you know what? Let me show you. Let me show you what your life is like if you were not alive. And when he goes back, he realizes, right, that every single thing that he did, no matter how insignificant, was so unbelievably important, sometimes saving people's lives, that he had absolutely no idea of. Okay. So I'm going to invite you, now that you are all mindfulness practitioners, because I always feel like when I teach, I am now ringing a bell. You cannot say you do not know what mindfulness is. You are all practitioners now. So maybe at some point, you're going to start thinking about the holidays, and you're thinking, oh, how am I going to get through the holidays? We normally do this, and how are we going to work it out? We're in the middle of a global pandemic, and how are we going to socially distance? And maybe we shouldn't get together, or maybe we should get together. And how are we going to make our favorite foods? And what if I disappoint my family? And notice the stories we make up in our heads. Because, this is really about, like I said, a practice of compassion. And we need this more than ever right now. And none of us know what the future is going to hold. All we can do is the best we can. If you notice that your mind is starting to spiral out into a future that has yet occurred, the way to deal with that, And a perfect example of this is if you ever wake up at like 2 o'clock in the morning and you can't sleep, it is because you are not in the present moment. That's why you can't get back to sleep sometimes, because you're either thinking of a past you cannot change, or you're worrying about a future that has yet to unfold, or you're making this to-do list. So what I'm going to invite you to do is to just pause, notice that you were not in the present moment, because when you do that, you're instantaneously back in the present. And then say to yourself, you know what? I'm worrying about how the holidays are going to fare. What I'm going to do is sit down on Sunday and I'm going to actually write down all the things that have me concerned. And I'm going to see if there's anything I can do about any of them now. And the other things, I'm just going to let them go because it's out of my control. So none of us can predict the future. If we could, we all would have won the lottery by now. Okay? So I really want to invite you to just try this, just play with it. You know, like I said, this pause we put in our day, it's everything. You know, when we are on autopilot, something happens, like we get an email, and maybe you've gotten an email or a text and you've gotten very upset and you've written an email response and you hit send, and 10 seconds later thought to yourself, why did I respond so quickly? Right? That is what it's like sometimes when we get into this autopilot reactive mode. In teaching mindfulness, recently I was asked to roll out a program globally for a manufacturing company. And they said, we want you to teach the people here so that they can facilitate this program and learn it in their own language, so that I wasn't going to be teaching it. I was going to do a train the trainer program. So I've been doing that for the last several months. And during the pilot, one of the facilitators in England, I will never forget this, he said, Harriet, sometimes I will get an email and it will get me so upset that what I do is I realize that this is an email. He pauses and I realize this is an email that I need to take a little moment to think about before I respond. He goes, I call this a cup of tea email, because what I do, which is typical in the UK, right? He goes, what I do is I get up and I go make myself a very strong cup of tea. And then I come back and I respond to the email. And I thought that is such a great example. I will forever remember his cup of tea email. And it's all about taking that pause, all about taking that pause. So I want us now to actually experience together the formal practice of mindfulness. We've been talking about the informal practice, how we choose to pay attention or not, moment by moment. Now, the formal practice, there's actually 3 of them: the sitting meditation, eating meditation, and walking meditation. So today we're going to do a very quick sitting meditation. Okay. And in a moment, I'm going to invite you to close your eyes. You don't have to close your eyes. This practice is for you. But if you want to keep your eyes open, that's fine. But I'm going to invite you then to keep your gaze downward and soft, so that you are not looking at me, but that you are paying attention to yourself. And your gaze downward and soft, not your neck, but just your gaze. So keep your neck in alignment with your body. So right now, if it feels comfortable for you, maybe you have to make a little adjustment to put your feet flat on the floor. And what I do is I put my hands, I just rest them in my lap with my palms up and open, whatever is comfortable for you right now. And I will keep an eye on the clock. And I'm going to invite you right now to just notice wherever your body is making contact with the chair or anything that you might be sitting or lying on right now. So maybe noticing the weight of your body on the backs of your thighs or your buttocks. Maybe you notice the contact with your lower back or your upper back. So just getting that sense of what it feels like to be sitting. And sometimes we have a tendency to hold when we do not need to hold. So I'm going to invite you to check in around your mouth and jaw. And if you're clenching in any way, just relaxing around your mouth and jaw right now. Sometimes we squint when we don't need to, so maybe even just softening around your eyes. And maybe even just smoothing out the lines of your forehead as if it were a stick of butter on a hot summer day resting on the pavement. So just smoothing out the lines of your forehead. And when you're new to mindfulness, sometimes it's helpful to have an anchor, and we use our breath as an anchor. So if it feels comfortable for you right now, I'm just going to invite you to maybe rest one of your hands on your abdomen and just notice how when you inhale, your abdomen rises, and how when you exhale, it just naturally falls back down, so that you are not changing or manipulating your breathing in any way. You're just noticing it. So maybe it is fast or maybe it is slow. Maybe it is deep or maybe your breathing is shallow, and not wanting it to be any different than how you find it. And if you're noticing your breathing as if you were looking through a microscope, I'm going to invite you to back off about 99%. And instead, notice your breathing more like if it was a butterfly landing on a flower and noticing it in a very gentle, easy way. So, one of the things you're going to notice is that your mind is going to begin to wander. And when that happens, not if, but when that begins to happen, we notice it just as if we were outside and you would see a cloud and it would keep on moving. We notice our thoughts and that it has wandered to maybe a past thought that no matter what, we can't ever change, or maybe a future worry or to-do list. And then we escort our attention right back to either noticing our breath or just what it feels like to be sitting. So this is what non-doing feels like in your body right now. since right yet now you have no place to go and nothing to do. So maybe even noticing if your shoulders are up around your ears or if they're in a relaxed neutral position. And just listening to this poem as you sit here. It's called She Let Go by Sapphire Rose. She let go. She let go without a thought or a word. She let go. She let go of the fear. She let go of the judgments. She let go of the confluence of opinions swarming around her head. She let go of the committee of indecision within her. She let go of all the right reasons, wholly and completely, without hesitation or worry. She just let go. She didn't ask anyone for advice. She didn't read a book on how to let go. She didn't search the scriptures. She just let go. She let go of all the memories that held her back. She let go of all the anxiety that kept her from moving forward. She let go of the planning and all the calculations about how to do it just right. She didn't promise to let go. She didn't journal about it. She didn't write the projected date in her day timer. She made no public announcement and put no ad in the paper. She didn't check the weather report or read her daily horoscope. She just let go. She didn't analyze whether she should let go. She didn't call her friends to discuss the matter. She didn't do a 5-step spiritual mind treatment. She didn't call the prayer line. She didn't utter one word. She just let go. No one was around when it happened. There was no applause or congratulations. No one thanked her or praised her. No one noticed a thing. Like a leaf falling from a tree, she just let go. There was no effort. There was no struggle. It wasn't good and it wasn't bad. It was what it was, and it is just that. In the space of letting go, she let it all be. A small smile came over her face. A light breeze blew through her, and the sun and the moon shone forevermore. So even in these last moments of our formal meditation right now, of just sitting here, really getting that sense from the top of your head to the bottom of your feet, what it feels like to just be sitting. Just letting go of everything and being in this moment. And maybe noticing how after every exhalation, our bodies even just let go. And just resting in that pause so that we have an in breath followed by an out breath. And then our bodies just relax in that pause. And when they're ready, they take that next inhalation. Just riding the waves of your own breathing. So if your eyes are closed, I'm going to invite you to open them. And maybe in the chat, just write 1 or 2 words as to what does it feel like right now in your body. So I see relaxed and still and quiet, peaceful, quiet, calm. I'm waiting for the most common response that I normally get, which I have not seen yet. And it might be because it's already happened, in that I normally hear or see sleepy. So maybe somebody has fallen asleep. So somebody mentioned that they couldn't do it, but you actually did it. A lot of times we think, you know, um, we can't sit still, or we couldn't notice our breathing. But that is our practice, because sometimes we sit down to do a formal sitting practice and we notice that we don't want to be sitting, and that's totally fine, right? Because this is a practice of non-judgment. It's the same thing, like sometimes we can take a walk and just use all our senses and know what it feels like to take a walk. And other times we might take a walk and be a million miles away thinking of a million different things. The moment that we realize that our mind has wandered, either to a past we can't change or to a future worry, we are right back in the present moment, the only moment that actually exists. So why is this important? Right? It's important. Over a year ago, the Harvard Business Review they put out this article, and it said that 50% of millennials, 75% of Gen Zers, which is after millennials, had left a job for mental health reasons. And that was before a global pandemic. And you saw just now, in just pausing for a few minutes, we didn't put on special yoga clothes. We didn't go and find a special mat. We didn't go seek out some special area in our homes right now. We just all sat together, right, for just a few moments. And I see that people wrote in that they found relaxation and peace and quiet, right? So mindfulness has nothing to do with being happy. Once again, I notice when I see a lot of people thinking that mindfulness is about being happy. It is not. Mindfulness is about being authentic. Because right now, if maybe somebody accidentally hit your car, or maybe you accidentally dropped your cell phone in the toilet, whatever the situation is, right? We wouldn't be happy. Okay, so we want to notice what the feeling is in the moment. And then, once again, once not holding on to it forever, just noticing the feeling, right? Just being aware of it and being aware of our triggers, whether it's an email or a text message or a noise that maybe somebody makes who we're at home with and we're not used to being at home with other people. And then noticing if that noise, even something as simple as a noise, might trigger us, right? So I was one of those people that was born on Weight Watchers and will die on Weight Watchers. And one of the things they teach us is that it is not what we are eating, it is what is eating us. So I need to pause, and I try to notice this. And it's also the same with alcohol, in that alcohol has been the number one drug problem in the United States for probably, I don't know, 50 years, 100 years. And now it has moved in Pennsylvania from state stores into supermarkets to make it that much easier. It always has me very concerned, because it is not heroin or cocaine or crack that is the number one drug problem. It is alcohol. So that if it's 11 o'clock in the morning and you're getting an email or a text message, or you're fighting with somebody you live with and it's getting you upset, and you're thinking, oh, I can't wait to have a glass of wine tonight or relax with a cold beer, right? That's really important that you reach out and talk with somebody. I chose the route of being a nurse. My sister chose the route of being a therapist. It is incredibly important that you know to take care of yourself. Okay. And to know that there are people out there that you can talk to about this, right? So you might not be listening to your body, but your body is listening to you. Your body hears what's going on. I always think of this is the reason. I mean, I've been a nurse now for 38 years. This is the reason why I do what I do, right? It's why I started my company. One word, disease, dis-ease. One word, 2 syllables, dis-ease. Mindfulness promotes ease, right? The stress comes from beating ourselves up about the past or worrying about the future. When we notice we are in the present moment, we can get through this moment. We just have to worry about this one right now. It's the way those kids in the cave a couple years ago survived. If you remember correctly, those soccer players aged like 16 to like 18 or something, or 11, actually 11 to 18, they were stuck in that cave for a couple of weeks with no food. The way they survived was going moment by moment. And they survived because their 25-year-old coach taught them mindfulness. They had never heard about mindfulness before. You can imagine how scared they were in a dark cave, right? But here's the thing. We are not in a dark cave. We can go out. We can go to Target and Kohl's, right? And this is going to be challenging, possibly over the next few months, but we can prepare, right? We know what to expect. With mindfulness, if you notice there, it says when we practice something as simple as staying in the moment, and it's a practice. The more we practice it, the better we get. It boosts your immune system, right? That's what we want to do right now more than anything. So none of us get up in the morning and say, oh, I can't wait to brush my teeth. We do it because it is healthy. And it's the same thing with mindfulness. So there's always going to be homework whenever I teach, always. So prior to your next meeting, whether it is with the teacher for your child or whether it is with your manager, whoever it is with, just pause and notice the story. Are you thinking about something that has yet to happen or what they might say or what they might not say, right? Pause before you eat your next meal, during your meal, and even the next time you see your family member, your pet, or your dear friend, okay? Here's the thing. These memories, if we don't make them, right, we won't have them. We can be at the event, right? We can be with our pets and not remember them or what they smell like. But when we bring our attention to it, whether it is our weddings or whether it is the birth of our children, when we use all our senses, we make our memories, and those memories last forever, right? If I asked you about something wonderful that no matter how old you were, a cherished memory, right? So we really want to make these memories. So I appreciate you paying attention today. It is very easy to always connect with me. I invite you to connect with me on social media. Just let me know that where you saw me so that I'll know if you'd like to connect with me at all on LinkedIn. And if you go to my website, if you'd like to email me or call me about anything, I always say all the information is up there except my home address, which you probably could easily find. And I always say just call before you come over. So if anyone has any questions, I would love to hear them. And we have a few minutes. I know that we want to make sure that you get to your next program, which begins at 4 o'clock. All right, so I'm just looking at the questions right now. So if anybody has any questions, any concerns, any comments that they would like to share, would love to hear them. All right. So for those of you writing in, thank you. Thank you very much for the comments. I do appreciate it. Okay. Oh, thank you. Thank you very, very much for saying that. Somebody mentioned that they finally can understand it in this way. So that's wonderful. I'm glad I was able to explain why I am so passionate about mindfulness in a way that that you could relate to. All right. Excellent. So please know, if you have any questions that you would like to talk with me, even one-on-one, I'm always available to. You can always connect with me. And I'm seeing a question here. Oh, no, they just put their comments in there. Okay. All right. Well, thank you so very much for being here today. Make sure that you do attend the final session that starts in 13 minutes.
4 o'clock.
And, oh,
Mhm.
Linda, did you want to say something?
Nope, just reminding everyone, 4 o'clock, we're having our final few words.
Yes. And the raffle.
And the raffle, yes.
All right. Well, thank you so much. Thank you, Linda, for being there today to help with the chat and monitor everything. And thank you all for taking the time for yourself, really, for, this afternoon, for being here, and even taking the day for the conference. So thank you very much. And it was wonderful being here with you all today. So take care.
Thanks, Harriet.
Thank you.